We have a story coming out of Los Angeles where you had a 14-year-old who was killed by a stray police bullet. She's 14 and she was shopping for a dress. Now, I want you to look at her picture here. This young lady, if you can go ahead and put the picture up on the screen, she was at North Hollywood Burlington store when they fired on her. The fitting room she was in, her name is Valentina Orellana Peralta. She was killed by an officer's bullet that passed through the wall of a dressing room where she was found dying in her mother's arms. The young teen, she was at the store shopping for a dress for a quinceañera, a huge celebration for her and her culture. And the thing is that we have to ask ourselves, did this stray bullet just show up out of nowhere? Or is it the fact that we have issues with LAPD maybe using weapons in places that are highly trafficked by innocent citizens like this child here? So let's talk about what is out there in terms of NBC News. We have this understanding that police say it's unclear if the suspect, who was also killed by police, was armed with a gun, because basically the police were in the store to pursue the suspect. One hasn't been found in terms of a gun. And Los Angeles police said that they received a radio call about an assault with a deadly weapon shortly before noon at the store, which is located at the intersection of Laurel Canyon and Victory Boulevards. Now, when police arrived at the scene, they encountered a suspect who was in the process of assaulting a victim. That's what LAPD Captain Stacy Spell said. That's when police opened fire on that suspect in that store, who was subsequently taken into custody. The LA Fire Department later pronounced the suspect dead at the scene. And the authorities said that they found a metal cable next to the suspect whom police officers were confronting, but that no gun was recovered. So we essentially get this claim from police saying that there was an assault with a deadly weapon going on during the holiday season in an extremely busy shopping center there in North Hollywood. And the police show up, there's no gun recovered in sight, but they decide to open fire. And we also want to talk a little bit about the background right now based on what law enforcement is saying is going on, because this shooting happened during what police are calling a rise in shoplifting. And so what we do know is that robbery, burglary, and theft are down in Los Angeles compared to 2019. But according to the latest crime data from the police department, and in recent weeks, police have indicated that those types of crimes are rising, pointing to incidents involving smash and grab shoplifters who descended on high-end shopping districts at the height of the holiday shopping season. But even claiming that this is a very violent and dangerous season and that there's a crime wave, the fact is that the critics at of LAPD say that that's not necessarily true. And so what we have is the fact that these smash and grab incidents, while alarming, have been happening for at least the better part of a decade. They argue the incidents have yet to create anything approaching a spike on a graph and are being used to scare residents, lobby for officer raises, and decry justice reform. We're not saying crime doesn't exist. That's what was said by Richey Sirendenko, an organizer with the People's City Council, a coalition of social and climate justice organizations. We're just saying the cops' own stats don't match their narrative. And they definitely don't seem to. And as a result, we are seeing police running up into very, very public situations. And we have a loss of life here by that 14-year-old. David, what are your thoughts?
Well, Adrienne, I have a lot of questions that clearly the police, at least, are not answering. And that is when they put out a statement that says, okay, well, the suspect was engaged in an assault against somebody, and that's why police opened fire. Well, what kind of assault? Did he have a knife to the neck of the person that he was assaulting? Was he strangling them? Was that person almost dead? Or was it just like a fist fight? Because it matters, because what they've done now is they've decided, no, it was a life or death situation. So the police opened fire, and yes, they killed the suspect, but they also kill an innocent girl because a bullet goes through the wall. I mean, to me, the fact that the police would only say that it was an assault in progress suggests this was a terrible, terrible, reprehensible action by the police. That this idea that you shoot first and ask questions later can cause the loss of innocent life, as we saw in this case. And I mean, you tell me. To me, it seems like there's a negligence case, a huge negligence case against the police that's waiting to be filed in this by the 14-year-old's family.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact is that they rolled in there gangbusters. It's the holiday season. This is a highly trafficked store. I know this store in North Hollywood. The fact is that there were a lot of civilians around, unarmed. And just like you said, David, this thought that this gentleman was armed, but was it with a deadly weapon, or maybe was it with a coat hanger? Like the thought that you needed to open fire in this store that is populated with people, including children, during the holiday season. You can't tell me that's reasonable. And that will be the standard. Go ahead, David.
And to me, that not only is it, I think you're absolutely right in terms of the standard is as it is, and the police failed to meet the standard, their obligations. But to me, this also gets to this whole idea that there's something about police culture, this idea of having to use brute force. They are trained to overwhelmingly use force, lethal force, without much thinking about it. And to me, that's where all these problems come, that if the police had just thought, okay, let's think for a second. We're in a highly trafficked store. There's a lot of people around here. There are a lot of innocent people. Is this person really in a life or death struggle with whoever he or she is assaulting? And to me, if there was just that pause, if they were trained in either de-escalation or tactics about how to stop somebody without using lethal force, was there opportunity to use a stun gun or something else? And to me, without even trying those steps, it just seems reprehensible.
Yeah, and the fact that what you're seeing officers use lethal force to protect property. What, you're gonna protect a pair of discount shoes at Burlington Coat Factory? Get out of here. That's not even legit or reasonable in any way. What kind of society are we that we think that someone should take a bullet for taking some shoes? Like, I don't even see how this could be reasonable in any way. This thought that, there's an increase in a wave of shoplifting when the numbers actually don't support that at all, as opposed to they're being manipulated and used to justify acts like this that are reckless, in addition to getting more funding for police departments. We really have to think about what we're doing as a society. And one good thing that is coming out of this, even though justice has not been done, is the fact that there's a GoFundMe. And if we want to put that up now, there's a $24,000 just about has been reached for the family of the victim, that little girl, Valentina Orella Peralta, who lost her life. She was shot and she was killed, whether intentional or not. It was reckless, and she lost her life in that Burlington Coat Factory. So if you would like to donate, please feel free to give. I can't imagine what her family is going through in this holiday season, knowing that they lost their child shopping for her quinceañera dress that she will not wear. She will not make it to her 15th birthday because the LAPD decided to go gangbusters in a heavily trafficked department store in North Hollywood.